You're now live in the latest episode of the Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, part of the greater Enrico Palazzo lore, if you will. I don't think that's ridiculous to say. It's P-A, not P-O. 2 L's, 2 Z's, of course. Give me
Utah.
2, Utah.
Give me 2.
And we got a great show lined up today. We're presented by rotofanatic.com, and we've got 2 guests that are kick-ass, classic bros from the old days when I was just a regular listener of Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Very excited to bring these guys in. But first, my partner in crime, Christopher Deary, C. Deary 1999 on Twitter. C. Deary, welcome back from your long weekend in the great northern lands of Michigan.
I feel like it's been a long time since I potted. We'll see if I can shake off some of the rust here. But Mike, thanks for repping the shirt today, the Ann Arbor Y. I played in some leagues over there. I know it well.
Well, yeah, Deary knows a lot more than that. But yeah, it's glad to have you back. We had some great shows without you. I did the Fab Show by myself on Sunday, and I did a really cool show with David A. Meyer, who was a former rehab and medical coordinator with the St. Louis Cardinals on Monday. That was great. Go back and check that out. Seriously, bookmark that. It's going to help you. But who cares about that? We've got 2 guys that have probably dedicated most of their lives to fantasy baseball, which means there's nothing else, and all they have is fantasy baseball. But there's a little bit more to them, and we're going to find out today what that is. If you've never listened to the show before, then you've never heard these guys, because both of them have definitely been on this podcast at least once, but we decided to bring them on together as a kind of homage, a tribute to one of the finest groupings of podcasting we've ever had the pleasure of listening to, the Nasty Cast, which is still alive and well, but Nathan Dokken has moved on from that. He's still writing a fan tracks where you can read his starting pitcher barometer and keep in touch with him. And do not ask him about the Minnesota Twins, because Van Lee doesn't want to hear about it either. It's an old joke, and Van does not like outdated humor. Please give it up for Van Lee and Nathan Dokken. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Who's going to say hello first?
Me. I got it first.
Oh.
Because I have a question to ask. I beat you to it, Nate. I'm just more used to it. You've been out of the loop for a little while, so
I'm a little slow.
Does this mean, with me being on the show now twice, that I am in fact a part of the EPCU, the Enrico Palazzo Cinematic Universe?
I leave that to better people than myself, Van, but I think it's under consideration at the very least.
If
I
we
wonder
get
who will
you
play me
on
in phase 2. That's what I want to know.
If we get you on a third time, you will then be a part of a trilogy. You will join Sarah Sanchez, and we'll make a trophy for you.
Perfect.
Oh, dear. Okay, well, I would love to see a kind of blog kind of take off from that. But either way, we're going to talk fantasy baseball today with Nate and Van. They know a thing or two about a thing or two. They've been around. They've seen some things. They've done some stuff. And we're going to talk about pitchers and the substance issue, crackdown, Garrett Cole having his scanners moment yesterday on television, and a whole bunch of more stuff. Thank you. Well done. Including Name That Runner-Up Fab Bid, the new game show that is sweeping the nation. People love this game. Van and Nate, have you ever played Name That Runner-Up Fab Bid?
Negative. This is going to be my first trip. Pop my cherry, baby.
Hey! Oh, wait a minute. Van, I'm looking at the rundown, and I think you've never played this game before, because I think
Nope.
you... Yeah.
I must have messed it up. So we'll see how it goes.
He gave away all the runner-up bids.
Yeah. Well, you did great
you included
research.
spots to put my information on there, so of course I'm going to put my information in. I'm a good guest.
Yeah, I said share a bid from... This is what I said on the rundown, literally. Share a bid from any league you are in this past week. So, yeah, you've literally followed the rules. What I should
If
have
there's
said
anything I
is,
am, it's a rule follower. We all know that.
yeah, that's why people love you. I mean, you've really come to fame due to the fact that you're easygoing and you listen, take orders. You don't rock the boat, and you don't think for yourself. So you're very, very, homogeneous in that way.
I don't ignore what everyone else says at all, not even remotely. Right,
Fun
Nate?
fact: Van never listened to a single word I ever said on the Nasty Cast.
Hey!
Come on, at least 3. I can
Nate,
remember you saying
that's
Andrelton
the day.
Simmons one time. That's 2 words, and I'm sure there's a third out there.
Towards the end,
Utah.
I even had to
Give me 2.
I had to cue you for the Derek Jeter drop. I mean, that's how out of the loop you
Yeah.
were just looking up, I don't know, foot porn while I was talking or something. I don't know, whatever you're doing.
That's right. That's 100% right. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, this is a whole sideshow in itself. I love this, dude. We're lucky. This is never an easy show. When you have 4 people all in one box, it's important that we all respect each other And we all raise our hands before we want to speak, because otherwise the listeners and the community out here, the participants of this live stream and of the podcast version, they'll be in shambles and they'll probably give up on us. And then what is the point of doing this really if there's nobody here to really experience it?
Hear yourself talk. That's how it works.
I hear myself talk.
That's why I do it. Yeah.
Don't forget, rotofanatic.com. It's a wonderful website. I dedicated my time and life to it over the last 18 months 15 months. Sorry, that was a lie. But it's still a solid website. We got great articles coming out every weekend. Closing remarks from Mike Carter. Anybody know Mike Carter out there?
Yeah, great dude. Fellow contributor at Fantrax.
That's right. He's everywhere. And he does great work with the closing remarks. All 30 bullpens are covered every Sunday. And he takes your questions and will answer them in the article. He's a really sweet man. Loves to make fun of himself. And he smokes cigars, which I don't really think that's cool because I don't get cigar smoking personally. But I still think he's a great guy nonetheless. And of course, every Sunday, you get the infirmary report. Sad news. A lot of injuries this year. Van, what is the injury that has bummed you out the most this season? The one injury of all injuries.
I mean, that's easy. It's Mike Trout. As an Angels fan, it's devastatingly annoying. Ironically enough, the Angels have played better without Mike Trout simply because Shohei Ohtani is better than Mike Trout, apparently.
And is it fair to say Kenta Maeda for you, Nathan, or would you like to go in a different direction?
Well, that one hurt doubly because even when he was healthy, he sucked, and I had just traded for him in the prestigious Dynasty Baseball League prior to the season, so it's just a net negative. I was almost kind of relieved when he hit the IL. So,
me too.
Yeah, it's just everything has been pain. Everybody on the Twins is hurt. I have 17 people on the injured list in my 24-team league. Ask me how that's going because it's just zeros everywhere. You can't even pick anybody up in that league. So, I mean, it's just brutal season so far.
And Deary, give us your number one injury of 2021.
Well, it's like a 4-pack here because they were all in the same league. Ke'Bryan Hayes, Bellinger, Trout, and Michael Brantley basically all together. Bellinger right at the start of the season, Ke'Bryan right at the start of the season. They both are finally back now, but as soon as they got back, Trout was out. And seems like Trout's going to be out till mid-July now.
Would you be more comfortable with Ke'Bryan Hayes being hurt or him playing, hitting home runs and not getting home runs because he didn't step on the base?
That's right. That happened the other night. You get the notification, home run with Ke'Bryan Hayes. 2 minutes later, home run negated.
Of course, we got the live stream here. You guys are all welcome to participate, and you usually do that. Jasper says, good evening, fellas. Hey, there's Deary. Yes, Deary's back from the dead. Welcome. There he is. Look, that's him waving. Luke Horlbeck checking in. Look at that, Deary. How about that?
Oh, shit. Luke loves feet.
Gotta love feet. I don't.
Feet and onions.
That's some dumb shit.
You just described my weekends right there.
Oh, stinky. Brian K. Rosman, the go-to. He is the Palazzo participant of all participants. Tooth pulled 3 hours ago, and I'm here. Now that is dedication, and I'm going to give it up for you, my friend. Well done. Applause. You definitely deserve it. And then I said, look at that. I said that. What's up, guys? That's me saying that. Isn't that cool? Who gives a shit?
The last guy who had the tooth pulled, the good news is he's going to love whatever we do because the medication they gave him makes you just like everything. So great. I'm going to be his favorite guest, and Nate's going to be his second favorite guest. Or 1A. Yeah, let's go aces. 1A, 1B.
I'm going to hang up some Christmas lights and just do some strobe stuff in the background. He'll just be entertained. The best podcast he's ever seen or watched. Actually, as long as I'm talking, by the way, Van, do you recall back when I made a guest appearance on the Nasty Cast, my former podcast, we were talking about how many strikeouts Shohei Ohtani would have hitting versus pitching? Which one would be more?
That's right. Which is more? Yes. What did you say? What did you prefer? Because it's probably wrong.
I asked it to you, and you,
that's right.
I believe, went with hitting, which is correct, but it's close. I looked it up the other night, and it was 67-60 the last time I looked. It's just fascinating what he's doing. I love him so much.
Who doesn't love Shohei Ohtani? It's been a dream come true, especially when you're in a keeper league and you decide not to keep the hitter version of him, and you keep Matt Chapman or Luke Voigt instead.
Well, see, you should not have been on Yahoo or whatever provider it is that allows you to have the split ones. Just have one player. Come on.
Who said it was me? Who said it was me? I didn't say it was me.
Fair enough. Good point.
It was me. It definitely was me. Yes. I said this on, God damn it, the operating room last night. Kev, our new pal. You guys know the operating room with Kev Masarajan. Great guy.
Sure. I'd have to see the name. It's not ringing a bell, but that doesn't mean anything because as we've established, nothing works up here. It's all in and out immediately.
It's all in the man bun.
Exactly. Yeah. It stores right here, which I cut off about 6 inches yesterday because it made me angry. And I still have a lot of hair.
You wouldn't like Van when he's angry with the shorter man bun. That's what I hear. I will tell you this, though. Kev and I were talking last night on his Operating Room podcast, which you can also hear the version of our show, Plaza Podcast. Kev was on about 10 days ago or so. And I told him on the air, and Deary's heard this 3 times at least, that I kept Kenta Maeda over Corbin Burns. So.
I've heard it 7 times.
Woof.
It's rough, man.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how to go forward here. And the only way to go forward is to show you guys this. Rob Deere! That's a random comment.
Morgan's checking in.
Rob Deere!
Morgan,
It needed to be said.
stay on. Give us some more gems, Morgan.
Do you, me and Deary definitely remember Rob Deere from our Tigers day. You guys remember Rob Deere?
Oh, certainly. Reliever, right? Or no, I'm thinking of Rob. Anyway, no, I don't remember.
Rob Nen.
Rob Nen is who I'm thinking of. Yes, Rob Deere. I can see he was a hitter.
Strikeout
I don't remember
machine,
him at all, so he must not have done a whole lot.
Milwaukee, Detroit. It was home run strikeout.
Yep. Three true outcome before it was cool.
Him and Incaviglia are the pride of the 91 Tigers.
In 91, Rob Deere hit 179 in a real season, not like 100 games. At least 125 games.
How many home runs that year?
28?
25.
25, okay.
Yeah, it was.
Close.
How do you, back in 1991, hit 179? You can hit 179 now, and people are like,
Yeah.
okay, you're pretty bad. Maybe you're Joey Gallowing it. But back then, that is the equivalent of hitting 100 today. Wow. Fascinating.
Yeah, Patrick Wisdom's been really good. This is instant analysis. We'll probably talk about Patrick shortly, so I'm going to table that for our... What is that segment called? That segment where I press the button and something happens. Jaybird says, "Sup all, time for Mize and Gomber to dominate." Well, I got to tell you, Casey Mize might be the 3rd best of the triumvirate in Detroit. When I mean triumvirate, I include Manning, Mize, and Skubal. And Skubal has taken off to a next level. Dominated, went head-to-head against Giolito last Saturday, struck out 11. Nate, how high is Skubal on your SP barometer right now?
He just debuted because he was on the list earlier in the year, and then he fell off because he was, not doing so well. And then he came around so hard and fast that I should have had him on the list at least within the top 100 a week or 2 ago. But so he debuted at 53, or re-debuted, I guess. He jumped back on the list at 53 this past week because of his strikeout prowess. Dropping that splitter, bringing back the changeup has been incredible for him, and he is just rolling right now. I don't know if he's necessarily going to keep it up this well for the rest of the year, but I do imagine he's going to be a lot more stable than he was to this point.
Yes. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this about Terry Skubal. He's a great starting pitcher, but
You're a lousy fucking softball player.
I've heard he's not very good at playing softball. So
It's a whole different game, man. Baseball versus softball. You think it's the same. It's not. Way different.
Truly, it's an old man's game. It's for old men hitting it just over the infield and getting single after single after single after single. I made my softball debut, Deary, after 6-7 years out of the game Sunday.
You played?
I played. I'm back. Everybody,
Where? With who? You left your house? I'm so confused. All this information coming at once.
I know. It was my return to society. It actually was my unofficial/official return to society. It was a lot of fun. It was hotter than fuck. It was 92 degrees. It was brutal. No clouds. But we played on Belle Isle. We play all of our games basically on Belle Isle, dude. It's called the Detroit Neighborhood Area Softball League, and it's very exciting to be back. So.
Oh, you're playing with Luke?
Yeah, Luke hit 2 home runs, like true home runs.
Yeah, he's
very
beast.
good.
You play second base?
Oh no, dude! My infield days are over.
You gotta play right field.
Yeah, I got.
Oh, here's the real
stuck
question.
You in right field. Oh no.
Here's the real
That's a
question.
telltale sign.
Did you bat right or left-handed?
Well, I came out. I'm an idiot because the wind was like intensely blowing out to left field. For some reason, I decided to hit from the left side though for the first 2 times, and they were both disasters. And then I came back to the right side and I hit much better. I actually cranked one. I got a good chunk on a couple, but they both went foul ball.
I'm still amazed that you're a switch hitter. I'm amazed by this.
Anybody can be in softball though, can't you? Like
I couldn't.
Oh, I couldn't swing a bat left-handed. I would be miserable at it. It's that for whatever reason. There's no coordination to that.
Well,
I'm even ambidextrous, and there's no way I could swing a bat left-handed.
That means he can drink a beer with his right hand, or he can drink a beer with his left hand. He's equally good at it. He can do them at the same time too. It's amazing.
You can do this at the same time too. Yeah, you can do a lot of things. It's a lot of fun. So, you see, if you on the podcast version, you do get the benefit of additional music that we don't play on the YouTube stream. But if you're not seeing some things, you're missing a couple. You know, it's pros and cons both ways, I guess. Jasper says he's chilling with 2 L's, 2 Z's. Dokken, how's it going? Great band, of course. That's an old joke that Nate's heard a lot, but, you know, it never gets old. LOL, couldn't help myself. Van Lee, how goes it? So, Nate, why don't you go first? How are you?
It goes well. I'm just breaking the chains around me, you know. That's how I roll.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but it is blazing hot in this room for me. I forgot to turn my little air conditioning unit on, so it's like 85 in here. I'm not sweating yet, but you will see sweat pouring down my face before we get through with this show.
I think the man bun is it like gremlin rules with your hair, Van? If it starts like multiplying, or is it that if you feed it after midnight? I can't remember how it goes exactly, but
well, that's exactly it. You can feed it anytime before midnight, but once you feed it after midnight, it puts on a dress. It goes around and parades across the town. What even happened in that movie? I know I've watched Gremlins, but it's been 20 years. So what is that even going on?
You haven't watched Gremlins in 20 years?
No, I can't imagine.
It's a Christmas staple.
Oh, really?
No,
a Christmas staple. Okay. I like it. I approve of this, the wackiness of it all.
No, I'm with you, Van. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that movie in like 30 years. It came out in 84, and by the time I was 12, 13, I just never saw it again. So you're right. I've not seen it as a staple. Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I haven't seen that. But Gremlins 2, on the other hand, is a worldwide celebrated success. And I watch Gremlins 2 at least twice a week.
Yes, on my Cinema 9 podcast, we just examined the incontricities. Oh, I just blew that. It's over. Who cares? Incontricities? That's not a word.
it should be.
Get Webster on.
Whatever, motherfucker!
Webster. Oh, wait. I want this to be clear.
Whatever, motherfucker!
There we go. Yeah, I deserved that. That was for me. And then, real quickly, I didn't give you a chance to say, Van, you do pods, The Launch Angle, one of the finest, most popular pods in all of fantasy baseball with Rob and Jeff. So people should know that if they don't know that for some reason, but
that's right. So yes, well, I'll tell you my podcast, and I have actually something I want to let you guys hear. I do the Launch Angle podcast with Rob Silver and Jeff Zimmerman. We talk fantasy baseball traditionally from an NFBC perspective. And then we also do, of course, the Nasty Cast, which you mentioned, which is more redraft centric. The Dynasty Baseball Show, which is Dynasty Baseball centric.
Oh, I'm such a dick.
But it happens. It's all right. It's fine.
I've been on that show. No, that's not acceptable. That is not acceptable.
Well, the thing I want to talk about today is I've started a new project. It's called the Boob Tube Boys. And what that is a couple of friends and I go back and we watch old television shows and see how it holds up under today's microscope. Now, I brought you a clip I want you to hear very briefly. It's about 20 seconds long of an episode, and it's actually a recent episode that I just released this week where we watched the 1990s Sword and Sandal show, Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. Do you guys remember that show?
Kevin, what's his name?
Kevin Sorbo. Oh,
yes.
Boy, we have a lot to say about him. He's a character. So anyway, to set this up briefly, the show we watched, we take an episode, we watch it, and then we go through the plot, and we also discuss the show as a whole. The episode of the show we watched is called Centaur Mentor Journey. And yes, that is as hard to say as you would think it would be. And essentially, Hercules' mentor, who's a centaur, obviously, is dying. And he has another centaur prodigy who is a little more radical. He's fighting for centaur rights. There's a whole to do with that. However, on the show, we discuss a fight scene between Hercules and the centaurs. And I'd like you to listen in about a little bit of facts about it. One final thing to mention here is about these centaur fights is occasionally mixed in amongst all the grunts and fight noises, they toss in some horse sounds.
Yeah, but I think it's the humans doing it.
So that's just a little clip of what you can experience on the BoobTube Boys. Check us out. We're on Twitter at BoobTube Boys, available on whatever podcasting app it may be. It's not baseball related, although we do make baseball jokes periodically. So check out my baseball shows or that new show if you want to hear about centaurs.
It's not baseball related.
No. sadly.
No, that's awesome. That was funny.
That's
At BoobTubeBoys. Is that OYS, not Z? You want to be cool if you put the Z on there. So.
No, it's an S. We decided we didn't want to be too wild. We didn't want to scare people away with how extreme we were, EXTREME. So we stuck with just the S.
Let us know when you do a show about Belvedere and Mike will go on.
I'll do it. I'll write a note. Belvedere. I don't think I've heard of that one. I'll have to look it up.
When I first moved here, I blew Mr. Belvedere.
These things happen. So.
Oh, my.
I mean, hey, the guy's just being honest. He's a sexual man. He's a sexual being, like centaurs, which are very powerful beings. All right, so Jesus, good Lord, we got shit to do. Let me fire up the Bozo Belvedere music to pay tribute and say thank you. Our housekeeping music, Mr. Belvedere, cleaning the house. Isn't this beautiful? Can you hear it?
Streaks on the china never mattered before.
So dumb. It's so 80s dumb. We gotta love it. I wanted to say thanks to everybody who's keeping it up on the Palazzo Podcast Invitational. Me and Deary are still shit in the bed, and but there's nothing else to say, really. We're failures, and I apologize for that. Deary, it's just how it goes, right?
I'm a loser.
Yeah, that's fine. We decided to create our own Palazzo Podcast Invitational, which is 60 individual teams, NFBC draft champion style. So you get what you get. 50 rounds, do or die. And we're not doing well. We're not holding up. But that doesn't mean that it has to go that way. It's not over yet. I'm just going to say that. It's not over yet. And we're also still looking for ideas for the trophy. We need that big-ass trophy. It doesn't have to be big ass. It could be medium-sized. We're just trying to make it big, powerful, and something to really appreciate. So if you got those trophy ideas, please send them in. Palazzo Podcast or protonmail.com. Palazzo Podcast, our Twitter, 2 L's, 2 Z's. DM us. DM Deary at CDeary1999. DM me at MJ Govier, G-O-V as in Victor, I-E-R. Nathan, any ideas for a trophy?
Not a good one that you want to give to someone who has done well in an event of any kind. We've recently introduced this a long-time fantasy football league that I have. We have the championship trophy, which we call the Shiva after the league on FX. But we've also titled the loser trophy the Spidey, which is the Spidey ball. So this story goes, this guy back in college used to walk around just in his tighty whities, all drunk with a little Spider-Man hanging out the front of his underwear. So in honor of that, we call it the Spidey ball. So we might get a little Spider-Man trophy. There are also far more obscene trophies that we have also considered. So, but yeah, I have no good suggestions to give you.
And the hits just keep on coming.
That is great. That's some good stuff there. Van, any ideas?
I mean, I think you nailed it earlier when you said you want a medium ass trophy. So just make it an ass, but a medium ass, not a whole big ass, just a medium one. You don't want to be too gaudy with it.
Make it a mold of your literal ass. You can have that done. Go in and do it.
Genius, genius, genius.
Is that a tribute to Ass, the Academy Award winning movie from 20, I think it was?
Glenn Close was amazing in Ass. I was impressed with her performance. It was so good.
To sit there for 90 minutes and just have a bare ass. I don't know how she did it, but it was impressive. I'll tell you that. Okay. And Nate, I briefly mentioned your SP barometer, but was there anything else you want to pump, man? Pump it up. Share with the people what you're up to and what they need to know about you so that you could be more well known and then be, more full of yourself.
Yeah. No. I don't need any more full of myself. Yeah, that's for sure. No, that's really all I'm doing right now. I'm not in the podcast game. I'm just, crashing down people's parties like this once in a while as doing a little guest spot. But yeah, you can find my work at Fantrax HQ, pumping out the SP barometer. SP stands for starting pitchers, of course. Top 100 starting pitchers every week at Fantrax HQ. And I have a lot of fun writing that. So please go read it. Check it out. I try to make it entertaining. People seem to like it.
And I mean, you've been doing the barometer for years now, so you've got a grasp on it. So I would say that you know what you're doing when it comes to those starting pitchers. Totally, for sure.
Judging by the comments that I get on Twitter, that's not accurate at all. But
you can't pay attention to those. Come on.
That is shocking news. I'm not buying that. All right, well, I think we've covered enough of the bullshit. Why don't we get into some baseball? And we'll do it with leading off. In today's leading off segment, it's real simple. We like to pay tribute to players that have done well and deserve to have a spotlight shined upon them. And you might be surprised, but there's a lot of catchers that are making noise right now. In fact, over the last 5-6 days, we had multi-home run outings, at least on, I'm talking back-to-back, not necessarily double dong days, but those double dong days, you know how that goes. James McCann, Omar Narvaez, Max Stassi, Eric Haas of our Tigers, unreal.
Go Tigers.
There's been a rash of catcher dominance in a sense here, so I think we should pay tribute to catchers right now. And Van, I'll go to you first. Catchers, what do they mean to you?
Catchers are a tricky endeavor because more often than not, you could screw yourself over so hard with a catcher. So this is your prime time to get the right catcher. You get an Eric Haas, you get a Max Stassi, whoever's out there and performing, cycle through that roster. I mean, it's great to have the JT Real Mutos of the world, but I don't want to pay the price for that. So I'm totally happy just cycling through the spot. And in fact, in one league, somebody actually cut Will Smith after he struggled early on in the season. So I said, okay, I'll take that. I think I put in $100 bid or something like that. Got him. And now I don't have to worry about it. But for the most part, cycle through. Max Stassi, again, you mentioned his name. He's been on fire lately. I watched a bunch of Angels games over the weekend, and he looks good. So I buy what he's doing. I believe what he's doing. And I think that's definitely a nice target if he's still out there for some reason.
Are you insane?
I agree with. I don't agree with that old man. I agree with you. Max Stassi was hurt, and he finally came off the concussion protocol. He had the hip thing too, and if he's gonna be healthy, it looks like he's gonna get what do they say? The bulk. Yes, the bulk of the starts. People are worried about Kurt Suzuki sneaking in there, but I wouldn't worry about that. Deary, what about you? Are you scared? Catchers?
It's been streaming catchers all year. I mean, let's do a list here. Jan Gomes, Jacob Stallings, Mejia.
Poor bastard.
Mejia, McCann. Right now it's the Tyler Stevenson train. Stassi is available. It's probably worth a pickup here. He's 9 for his last 19, a couple home runs. He's batting 5th tonight as well. So great job by Van pointing out Stassi. But it's been streaming all year. I didn't go after catchers early. I drafted McCann in a lot of leagues, and he was pretty much a letdown for the first month and a half. But he's been batting in the middle of the Mets order because their offense has been absolute shit and everyone's injured. So, I might get back on that McCann train again.
And Nate, we didn't even mention Ryan Jeffers, who's taken over for Mitch Garver and looking pretty damn well himself.
Well, he wasn't looking very well before he was demoted to the minor leagues, that's for sure. So hopefully he righted the ship a little bit there. It's sad with Garver as well, but pretty much everything the Twins have done this year has just turned to crap. So fortunately, I have a lot of draft and hold shares of Stassi, so that's working out well for me so far, even if, he's not going to hold that batting average. But, it's my dude for the year is doing pretty well so far, old man Yadi Molina. So I was in on him as well this year. But it's surprising me still how well Salvador Perez has done. 14 bombs already at 40 RBI. My God. I was talking about how overdrafted he was this year. And
me too.
Is making me look like a damn fool. So good on him.
Yeah, we look like idiots, don't we, Nate? I was like, come on, this draft price is too high. But he's going next level, and he's like 31 now. 32 maybe? 30. He's not young, but he's not dead either.
No, and he was a guy who, the people don't know, but he was like a longtime dude for me. Always loved his draft value. And then last year, he hit like 300 with 20 bombs in the short season or whatever ridiculous numbers it was. And he was getting drafted way too high. So, I like him in a vacuum, but I just didn't like his ADP this year. But he's been coming through big time for those who did draft him.
Well, Chad Sample wants to know, guys, this is a random question, so you got to be on your toes. We do get these live stream comments. Is it time to press the panic button on Aaron Nola? Seems like he's struggling a bit. Nate, I'd like to go back to you first since you're kind of our SP buddy here. What do you think of this?
Sure, yeah, no, it's no way. Aaron Nola is an ace. He's had a bit of a rough go in terms of scheduling has been pretty rough, at Toronto. Boston, Atlanta recently, at Cincinnati. There's some tough matchups in there. There's going to be better days ahead. His numbers are a little bit inflated. He's been a little bit unlucky. You look at let's see, what's his ERA right now? 4.06. Yeah, everything else is right around that 3.5 mark or better. He's still getting you a ton of strikeouts. There's nothing really wrong with Aaron Nola. It's just been a tough go so far. So I would definitely stick with him. I'd even try to buy low on Aaron Nola. A lot of people might be sick of him right now, not pulling through as your ace.
I'll second that notion. I mean, all the ERA metrics say 3.5 ERA, and that even might be a tad inflated for what his true potential could be. However, what I will say is I didn't buy the strikeouts last year. He bumped way up for what he was doing. He's kind of back down to doing closer to what he had been doing. So to say, he's a surefire ace, I might take a little bit of umbrage with that. I think he's maybe a 2. But he's still an excellent pitcher in a day and age where it's hard to find pitchers. So no reason to cut bait at this point. I just don't think we'll see the strikeouts like we saw in that abbreviated 2020.
Dr. Deary reporting.
Yeah, I mean, BABIP's a little high, so he has gotten a little unlucky. What I really like about Nola is he's going to be one of those guys that's going to get close to 200 innings. In 2018 and 2019, he had 200 innings, 71 innings last year. He's at 75 right now. And Nate made a great point about the schedule. Atlanta twice, Cincinnati, Toronto. Strikeouts have been there. He's just given up a little too many hits, and I think he's 4-4 right now. I'm not worried. I think he comes out and has a really good July and the rest of June. And I think he's a guy you could probably go out and buy right now. And the Phillies are going to try to get in this race in the East that just has kind of been a mess right now. So I'd buy low on Nola right now. He's probably projecting at like a 3 or a 4. I think he's probably SP2 right now on the reel. So I would go out and grab Nola because I believe in him for sure.
Unbelievable. Wow. Aaron Nola. Amazing or not? By the way, Chaz Sample, he's doing his own basketball podcast. I want you guys to check it out. Mismatch Sports. Check it out on Twitter. Check out Chaz Sample. He's a young man doing some fine work. He supported our show a lot, and I'd like to support people who support us. I think that's, the peeping help, the people and the thing with the people helping. It's good stuff. So
apparently Nate disagrees. He just abandoned us. Oh, he came back. He's like, I don't want anything to do with basketball business.
Yeah, Nate's not a basketball guy, so well, maybe he is actually. I don't even know. I know he's a football guy as well.
I don't think he's that much into basketball.
Well, you've never gone one-on-one with him, have you?
No, sadly not. He lives way up there in the middle of nowhere near the mountains. So no, sadly have not.
Oh well, you got to head for the mountains. You should probably,
Head for the mountains of Bush beer.
Delicious.
Delicious. Yummy.
No one has ever said delicious at Bush Beer. Come on.
Some asshole on Twitter the other day, he's a fantasy baseball guy. I can't remember exactly who it was, though, so they're going to get off the hook. But it did happen. He put a picture of Bush on Twitter, Bush Light to be specific, and said, "This is fantastic." No one's buying that.
That's a joke, right?
He's getting money from Bush is what that is.
Bush is getting into the fantasy baseball game? That's interesting.
Apparently. Well, they were NASCAR sponsors forever, right?
That's true. They were. That's something that did happen. So, yeah, Aaron Nola, good luck with that. He's fine. He's a legend. He's going to be amazing. Everyone loves him. Don't get bummed out. Don't get too sad. Stay true to your concept. If you have a plan, I think you should stick with it. As Jasper says, most are in a funk of some sort. Trade or free agent wire. Well, is that in a Nola response? I don't know what one that means. I'm sorry. But yeah, some of these are earlier. Jasper says, got Jeffers off free agency Monday evening and Coar, but didn't start him. Yeah, Jackson Coar shit the bed in his debut yesterday, or Monday, sorry. Today's Wednesday. I forgot what day it was. Is it Coar? Does anyone have a different pronunciation, like Coar?
I've said Coar, I've said Coar, but no one ever turns to me for pronunciation. So I have no true guess, but I imagine we're in the ballpark.
We do have a good friend of the show, Baseball Pods himself, Chris Marr's pronunciation guide, which he gave to me. Very nice of him to do so. So I'm going to look that up. But in the meantime, Jackson Cower, dearie, are you excited, or are you going to wait it out? Because he is a very highly touted pitcher for the Royals.
How many wild pitches or hit batters did he have the other night?
Was it bad? I didn't actually get that stat.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I just saw it on Twitter that he was kind of all over the place. I mean, it's the guy's first start. You got to give him some time. I mean, I wasn't buying into it. A lot of people are going out and scooping him up. I didn't. I mean, you're going to have to wait on him. I'm not sure he's going to give you any fancy value, but people get excited about guys when they come up like this. Alec Manoah was very similar. You just never really know what you're going to get when it's your first time in the show. So the guy's honestly, he's uber talented. So he certainly has something, and it's the reason they brought him up. But I mean, I don't think you're really going after him right now in fantasy leagues for him to help you.
Deary, these massage jokes, you missed a couple while you were gone. They just keep going on. I don't know. Ryan's the guy. Ryan's
being trolled, man.
It's sweet, though. Good massage sounds great, doesn't it, Nate?
Yeah, I'm all for it. Give me your address, dearie.
I got a massage once downtown for Christina and I's anniversary, and I almost passed out. She was like just digging into me so hard, and I was like, ah! My wife's just laughing at me. Make sure if you get a massage, drink a lot of water. You get extremely dehydrated during that. Like, I got up and I almost passed out afterwards.
The other thing too is if you have drank the water, because you'll be so relaxed when you go to the bathroom afterwards, it's like 10 minutes after a good massage. You're cleared out. But what I will say is I would love that massage. I like the violent ones. And I remember I went to a couples massage with an ex-girlfriend, and the two girls lined up to massage us. And they were like, who wants the rough massage? And I'm like, oh, I'll take it. And my girlfriend said she did too. It was too much for her. For me, it wasn't even enough. And this girl had some crazy strong hands. So I like a nice, rigid, hard massage. It has to hurt and make me feel bad. That's when I like it.
You're listening to the Masseuse and the Deuce. It's a combination baseball / massage. Okay, let's get back on track here. By the way, I put the pronunciation properly in the comments. There it is. Thanks to Chris Mars, pronunciation guide. Kowar. Interesting.
Kowar. Got it. Yeah, I was grateful that in my SP barometer this past week, I said I recommended taking a wait and see approach. So hopefully, everybody that read that did not start Kowar, because that was a rough debut.
Isn't that the general approach for you, Nate, with all like prospects in their debut? Because you never really know first time out. You kind of like to see it, even if they're super, super highly touted.
I will make an exception if it's a super highly touted prospect. You know, like if I had any Alek Manoah shares, I would have rolled him out. Of course, he's on the mound again tonight. I don't know what he's doing, but his second start is what could have happened in the first start. But yeah, you never know. I mean, you get these guys, it's their MLB debut, and they're all amped up, and maybe they're nervous, whatever. But generally, it's not a great idea to start them in their debut, unless I will go against my own rule of thumb there and say if it's an elite prospect, I'm just too excited to roll him out, which Logan Gilbert kind of bit me in the ass earlier this year. I started him in draft and hold, and that debut did not go well either.
This is the audio version of Logan Gilbert's first start.
I thought that was Deary at the masseuse.
It was.
No,
yeah.
that's him if he goes to yours. Yeah, if he goes to your masseuse, that's him. He can't take that type of pressure. It's too intense.
This woman's hands were like catcher mitts, man.
Okay, well, I didn't hit this button.
Good. Our first catch of the day.
I wanted to mention Patrick Wisdom real quick. I said we would tease it earlier and then bring it back. I got to keep my word here on the Hey, it's Rico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, presented by RotoFanatic.com, at MJ Govier, G-O-V is in Victor, IER on Twitter, Van Lee, at Manly Van Lee, at CDeary1999, and at Nathan Dokken. That's 2 Ks. Patrick Wisdom, Van Lee, go.
I think you play the hot hand right now. The other thing, too, is, he has had a history now of minor league performance where he just crushes the hell out of the ball. There's no reason to say he shouldn't continue doing this. And he did it a few years ago. I think he was called up with the Cubs for a bit, and he just raked for a bit. So everybody needs someone. Why not? I don't necessarily think this is the next big thing, but right now, go for it.
Deary.
No, thank you.
What? Okay, well, I like that.
I mean, the guy's 29 years old. Sure, he had some good power numbers in the minors. He's got a 4.12 BABIP right now, 34% strikeout rate. Sure, he's hot right now. It's probably going to last another week, and then you're not going to hear from him again. There's a reason he's been with 3 organizations, and he's only been up with the big clubs a couple times.
Yeah, but that's the point. Cash in now. I picked him up in a couple leagues just to ride it now. Give it to me while I got it, and I didn't have to pay outrageous prices. I was actually surprised. At least in my leagues, there wasn't like psycho bids for Patrick Wisdom. And if there was, I lost to it and was happy to lose to it. Nate, Patrick Wisdom plays for the Chicago Cubs, and he's hit 8 home runs in his last 15 games. I mean, is it obvious just ride the hot hand, or do we think maybe there's something more to it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just definitely ride the hot hand at this point. I mean, there's no reason not to. He's just barreling everything he sees. So, yeah, there's no reason not to just take it and run with it at this point. I mean, by the time the league on with Adolis Garcia,
Nate, I know you're having some connection issues. If you want to turn off your camera, if that'll increase your bandwidth or something, you can do that and still be here. I just want to let you know I have no problem with that. So I support you.
I did hear Adolis Garcia at the very end there, so I think the implication is, hey, he could do what Adolis Garcia is doing right now. Which, by the way, what is Garcia walking at? I don't have his walk numbers in front of me, but it's so bad.
5%,
How is
4%.
this still going? How is this still as good as it is? I don't get it.
Yeah, he's at 4 or 5%. I was looking at it yesterday. We were talking about it. In fact, he hasn't hit a home run. Hasn't hit a home run since May 26th, and he's been hitting nothing. He's been dead recently.
So he's done what we expected him to do finally.
Yes! This is exactly what Deary's listened to me say this, and Deary's been on the same path. We've both been saying. Deary's obsessed with his biceps, Van, by the way. But
I love this man's biceps. Just don't give me a massage.
Yeah, exactly. He'll tear you in half, but yeah, he's good biceps. I can't dispute that fact. He actually leads the league in biceps, from what I heard. Him and I was going to say Dan Ugla, but damn, he's been out of the game for years.
Dan Ugla.
Yeah.
That guy had
what are you, 40?
Forearm.
Jesus. Dan
he was
Ugla.
a monster. He was like 5'6" and just like a triangle. Everything was up top, and then it just disappeared into nothing at the bottom.
So is it over for Adolis, and when is it over for Wisdom? 2 weeks on Wisdom?
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks is fair. I mean,
well, this is completely unsustainable, Van, right? You already said that. This is not realistic. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about him being still reliable, maybe giving us a home run a week or something? That'd be great, but it's not. He's not going to do what he's doing now.
No, well, this is the year in particular of I've got to fill this gaping hole in my roster. So who can I stuff in there? Okay, this guy's got 8 homers in the past 15 games. I'll play him this week and see how it looks and check. So I think, I don't know, 2 weeks is a completely fair analysis before pitchers figure it out. Shit. And then maybe the batting average falls down, whatever it may be. So I like that just fine. But then again, possibly to Nate's point, based on what we heard, Garcia did this for a third of a season, 60-plus games. So it's possible that something like that happens. But I'm with you, Deary, in that this isn't likely going to be, I can't think of an example, but the player this is his new level. This is the guy, this is what he's going to do going forward. I think he's going to turn into a pumpkin eventually. It's just when that happens is when you need to get him off your team.
It's Chris Shelton.
2 weeks.
Chris Shelton, perfect.
2 weeks.
The thing is, Chris Shelton was like 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. But we can still talk about it, right?
Yes, we can. And Nate, how you doing? You okay, buddy?
I'm just fine. My internet, however, is not really wanting to cooperate right now. It must be rusty because I haven't done this in so long. So we'll give it one more shot. If it boots me off again, I'll probably just call it a night. But fingers crossed. I'm
crossed.
Do what I can.
I don't know if you heard me. I said if you want to, you could turn your camera off. If it'll help you. I'd rather have you here than nothing. So it's just letting you know. Do what you got to do to maintain. So,
okay.
No big deal. Real quick. So all right, we covered Patrick Wisdom. I wanted to talk about
choice. Ray, people will come, Ray.
Will they though? You know, it might be time to sell the farm in Dynasty and Keeper Leagues. I think it's time to say goodbye. And is there a point where there's no return? Oh, you know, I'm in last place. It's June 9th. Party's over. Van, when is it too early to sell or too late to sell in Dynasty Keeper Leagues?
Let's say for 15-team leagues, if you're in the bottom third of that league, now is perfectly fine. Yeah, honestly, you probably knew right away that you should have sold a couple, weeks ago. I think if you're in the top 10, I mean, certainly 5 through 10 or whatever, I would give it till the end of June. That's really when I start blowing things up and making the drastic moves. I think there's still a tiny chance you can get it. I mean, you see 5-point swings on any given day in roto leagues. So I think you're still probably in it if you're in that 10 spot, if things break right. Now, if your team is in 10th place and you've had everyone healthy all year, then okay, you're probably not going to be better off. If you're in 10th place and you have 5 of your best players on the IL, you've got something coming in the second half. So stick with it. I'll give it a few more weeks, basically. But again, if you're in last place, you probably should have sold already.
I just want to spice up that opinion. Well done. Nate, what do you think? Is it too early now, or do you wait till the end of June before you finally assess the sell point if your team is just losing in Dynasty Keeper Leagues?
it's often more beneficial to sell off early. So if you're truly in the cellar, I mean, if you take an honest look at the standings and you can't navigate a way in your brain to get up to, at least like a top 3 finish or something like that, then it behooves you to sell earlier than later. You tend to get better returns, at least in my experience. But yeah, otherwise, if you're mid-pack and, like Van said, everybody's dealing with injuries right now. If you've been hit particularly hard, maybe, you've got Mondesi still sitting on your IL, something like that, and you've got a ton of points that you can rack up in stolen base category. If and when he ever comes back, that's one thing to look at. Like maybe you can jettison up the standings, but yeah, you just be realistic. I have been mid-pack like July before, and I have come back and won a league. So it is possible. It's not likely necessarily, but if you're mid-pack, I would still hold and I always try to win if I can. But yeah, just be realistic with your expectations.
Bye, Felicia.
Deary, I think it's time to sell, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it depends what league you're playing in. So let me just talk a little bit about head-to-head leagues. I know there's still some head-to-head league players out there and some listeners out there. I mean, just look at your roster. You're going to know if you have a talented enough squad to get towards the playoffs. I'm in 12th place in one of my leagues, but I'm only 5.5 out of the playoffs. We take 6 teams. We got 16 owners in the league. And just looking at my team and crunching some numbers, if our league was a roto league, I'd be in 5th place. So it's just been really upsetting that I've gotten unlucky by just running into buzzsaws every week in a head-to-head. And I have a quality team. I have a team that I think can do really, really well. Looking at some of these other teams that are near the bottom, they have some really good talented players that they could sell off, get some high talent prospects and some really good draft picks. But I mean, if you're within like 10 games of the playoffs in a head-to-head, you're certainly not giving up. But I mean, you're going to know just by looking at your roster. Either you've gotten unlucky in terms of your guys not performing, you've run into just tough matchups in head-to-head where you had a rough week, or you've had guys that have just been injured all year. So, I mean, for myself, I'm waiting through the end of this month to see if I can climb up a few more spots. So that's kind of my analysis when it comes to head-to-head.
This is all of your Dynasty and Keeper teams trying to come back from double-digit, 20 games back, 80 points down.
And a ground ball into left field for a base hit. They're going to wave him in.
There it is.
Going to be close, and he's going to be out.
Oh! Well, I guess it didn't work out. It happens. Chaz wants that. I know that was dumb, but I love mixing in George Kell whenever I can. Chaz Sample wants to know, who is someone coming back from an injury soon? This is a good one that y'all are interested in. Now, I would prefer one of you would try to avoid the big three that are the first three to be referenced: Severino, Thor, Sale. If we could try to avoid those three and maybe go a little bit outside of the bun, that would be cool. But I understand if you want to be typical. I will go to Deary. You're up first. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably Trevor Story. They're saying he might be back tomorrow. I'm not sure if the Rockies are trying to. Yes, he's the big three of hitters. We can do that. You didn't name off him, so
you're right.
They're saying he's going to come back tomorrow from that elbow injury. What's interesting to me is Colorado trying to rush him back so they can have some trade value in him. I'm not sure about that, but I certainly need him for my squad. I've just been rotating shortstops for the last 2 weeks here. It'd be really great if like a Brandon Nimmo could come back, a Jeff McNeil could come back, a Michael Conforto can come back. That's 3 guys that are all from the Mets. It seems like all these guys might be out the rest of June, which is frustrating. But for me, it's exciting to get Story back.
Nate, you're up next.
Well, yeah, it's like I mentioned with Mondesi. I mean, he would be the big one that I'd be kind of targeting if I could, waiting for him to come back. Also, Kenta Maeda, the aforementioned, he's working his way back. He's pitching at AAA, I believe, so he's pretty close, and we'll see. I feel like he was close to being what he was. Like the changeup just wasn't quite there. The location wasn't quite there. So hopefully they tinkered a little bit and got some stuff ironed out with him. So he would be one that's coming back as well, who I feel like can perform a lot better over the second half for you. Maybe he can get, not to pitch in like Cy Young, Kenta Maeda like we saw last year, but, maybe a number 2 or 3 type of starter for you in the second half.
I'm expecting a big second half from him. I really am. And that will never make up for the Corbin Burns error, but at least it'll make things a little more comfortable in the second half. Van, what do you got?
Well, I kind of grinned. I'm going to do what Deary did and give you one of the big hitters, and that's George Springer, who is apparently, I guess, the hamstring's better. He should be back any day now. I have him in a couple of leagues. I'm excited to see him come back. And I'll also give you a pitcher. Spencer Turnbull was placed on the IL with, I believe, forearm tightness. It's not structural. It's muscular, which means inflammation, which means he should be okay within a couple of weeks. Maybe a little while when he comes back, but he was pitching really, really well for your guys' Detroit team, and I firmly believe he's a quality starting pitcher. He's not an ace, but he's going to be a good starting pitcher, and if you have him on your team, you're going to be in good shape.
Go Tigers!
I agree. We actually dropped him in the tag team league I do with Eric Cross, Nathan's Fantrax buddy. And we dropped him over the weekend because I was concerned. It could be a couple weeks, and in that league, just can't carry a lot of dead weight. We already have Strasburg. We're not going to drop, so we couldn't have too many guys. So I love Spencer Turnbull. I do. And when he pitched a no-hitter, it actually vaulted us all the way into first for that one glorious night. It was a great night. It was, oh my God, we're in first place, Eric. Now we're in fourth. We're still in it, but I agree. Spencer Turnbull is the best. I think he's the best, the most reliable starting pitcher until this injury, obviously.
He's just super boring, but I mean, he's super boring is awesome in this day and age because everyone needs pitching. So I'm all for it.
Wow, that is harsh. Okay, on the podcast version, I really want to get to this. This is really important. I'm calling this the Payback, so you're listening to the Payback underneath. It's a great James Brown song, but you can't hear it on YouTube because YouTube's very uptight. Although artists do deserve to be paid for their efforts, so it's a complicated issue. It's not so cut and dry. Let's be clear about that. But should we be trading players who we think will have less of an output because there's going to be a crackdown on the spider attack or the frog shit or, I don't know, whatever people are using? There's different pitchers use different things. Sunscreen is also an option. Nathan, I want to start with you. You know pitching pretty damn well, and I'm sure you've been aware of this for the last few years because it's not a secret. There's articles literally written about this a few years ago. But we're going to see a reduction in spin rates for a guy like Garrett Cole affect his overall game.
I mean, the frog shit epidemic, I mean, frankly, is it's getting to a boiling point, and we do need to cut it out. No, I do. It seems like they're going to crack down as far as like, if you should trade these guys. I don't think I would do that. There's really nothing that would behoove me to trade a Garrett Cole or a Trevor Bauer at this point in the season, even if their spin rates do come down a little bit, as maybe they do start cracking down on this kind of stuff. I mean, how much worse are they going to be compared to anybody that you're going to trade for? I mean, premium pitching is so hard to find these days. I just don't think that there's anything actionable you can do at this point. And it's hard to say that they're really going to crack down too terribly hard as the season wears on. There was that big Sports Illustrated article that came out recently talking about all the different stuff that they use and how they say 80 to 90% of pitchers in baseball are using some sort of tacky substance. I mean, so if you're going to start going after the big guys, then you're going to start going after the little guys too. So then, then it's a more even playing field, hypothetically speaking. Whether they actually do that or not, who knows? Maybe they just go after the Trevor Bauers, Garrett Coles, just to make an example out of the high-profile guys. I don't know. I can't see in the future. I don't know what they're going to do about that. But for me, I'm just, just fantasy-wise, I'm just going to stand pat if I've got those guys. I'm not going to do any trading. I'm not going to play scared, baby. I'm just going to go for the gusto.
Ooh, okay, I respect that. I can understand that too. It probably makes more sense than trading a Garrett Cole out of panic. We saw Garrett Cole yesterday. As I said, he had his Scanners moment. He really stumbled over his words. And then today, guilty. Yeah. Oh, where's the? Oh shit! Come on, Mike. You got to produce better than this.
2 weeks.
No, not 2 weeks. Shit, I lost it. Whatever. Anyways, I think I deleted it to replace it with 2 weeks. I'll tell you this. Pete Alonso today came out and he was like taking things in another direction by saying, "Hey, who cares? It's a free-for-all. Let these guys cheat. I don't want to get hit in the head like what happened to Kevin Pillar," which wasn't that simple. But Van, I turn it to you. Where do you stand on all this? And are you actually making moves and reconsidering things?
I think if there's a right move to be made, be that trading Bauer or Cole or whatever it may be, we aren't going to know what the right answer is until it's long been done and happened. So I don't think there's a way to really proactively do this. And Nate touched on this with it's not just Bauer and Cole who are going to be affected by this. If it is going to affect them, it's going to be league wide. Now, you are still going to get players, much like in the PED era, of look, I want to be a Major League Baseball player. I'm not a Major League Baseball player as it is. I'm going to do these PEDs. You're still going to have pitchers doing the sticky substances, hoping not to get caught. There's also the idea of, are they doing it every pitch? Are they putting this on the ball every single time? Or are they doing it in big moments? Is it just when they throw their curveball? A lot of moving parts here. And look, I detest Trevor Bauer, and anyone who's heard me speak knows that. I want him to get caught for this. I want him to have his comeuppance, despite his white knight profile of, oh, I'm only doing it because I want things to be fair. I want to bring attention to it. Oh, BS. You're doing it because you're now the highest paid player in baseball. I want him to get caught. I don't buy the whole, they announced maybe they might do this in a couple of weeks. So he immediately said, okay, I'm not going to do it, which is why his spin rate was so much lower this week. And I don't necessarily buy that. I think if somebody gets tagged, it was 10 game suspensions in the minors. That amounts to a couple $1 million for a starting pitcher in the majors. That's significant. So I think it's going to have to happen to someone before people start going, oh, I guess I can get caught with this. And to Pete Alonso's point, not that there were many great points in his little speech, they want pitchers to have grip, because if you don't have grip, you get hit in the face. If you've ever been hit with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, it fucking hurts, and you don't want that to happen. So sunscreen's okay. People don't care about sunscreen for the most part. It's this goo that we've seen pictures of where people put their hand on the ball like this, and it just sticks to the hand. That's too much. That's what causes that insane sink, the more stink too.
Stinky sink.
The spin rate to increase. That is what we have to stop. I'm totally all for stopping it. I think Alonso was getting a little conspiracy theorist with his stuff, and there's not to say there's no smoke where there's fire, but it was a little bonkers what he said. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not going to trade Cole or Bauer, even though I don't like Bauer. If I have him on my league, I have him because I'm getting a boatload of strikeouts. He's throwing a lot of innings, and he's doing what I need him to do, even if I think his ERA should be higher than what it is.
I thought you were cool, man.
I really did, and I still think you're cool. I do, but I got to tell you, that's the other point that you just alluded to. Deary, I turn it over to you. Pete Alonso also said what I tweeted about a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't dive into it enough. But it was basically the same concept, that the ball changes every damn year. There's no other sport where it seems this happens. Basketballs, footballs, unless you're Tom Brady and the Colts. I don't know what happened there, but that was the outlier. It seems like the football's generally the same most of the year and all season long from year to year. So Pete Alonso says, yeah, baseball fucks with the ball to reduce free agent dollars. Now that is even wildly.
That's real deep. I'm glad that he came out and said it. I'm sure he's not the only one who thinks this at all. I mean, I think guys are going to continue to do this until someone gets caught, and then they're just going to find other ways to get away with it. They're talking about the sunscreen. That's something that you could hide better than the other stuff. You know, Van talked about the stuff that, like, you hold the ball up to your hand and it just sticks. That's a little too much. I think they're always going to find ways to do this. I think what's creeping everybody out is, how long have we been looking at spin rates? Not too long, right? So people are starting to freak out. Oh, Cole's spin rate really started jumping up in the last couple of years. I'm not jumping off board and trading a Bauer or a Cole unless there's like a really great deal there. And we don't know how it's going to affect them, even if they do stop to using some of these substances, the bug juice or the tar or whatever they're using. We don't know if it's really going to affect them, and if they're still not going to be able to perform at a high level. Sure, maybe the rates still aren't there, but I think some of these guys are talented enough that they're still going to be quality pitchers. Nate brought up the great point of the lower level guys that are doing this stuff just to stay in the league, similar to the PED use. And I think most hitters and pitchers are probably going to be on board with guys still being able to use something, but not something too extravagant that's going to really change up the ball. It's going to be really interesting to see, like, just video of watching guys try to see what they can put on the ball. You got to think about it. How many balls do they go through a game? It seems like they get a new ball every 4 to 5 pitches. So, like, he really, really got to be sneaky with it. So I don't think it's happening every single pitch. I don't think it's happening with every new ball that comes out. I think it's probably occasionally throughout the game when you're trying to get some good spin on a ball and get really good grip.
Now, the other point there that you were kind of alluding to that I'm thinking of that nobody mentioned, I don't believe, is the confidence factor too. Mentally, oh man, maybe I'm not as good without it. If they stop using it, I'm not talking about the physical reduction, but the players, they live and die by that confidence. And if it, I don't know, again, like one of you said, we can't tell or predict which player it'll be that's going to have a mental struggle and lose some confidence if they can't use that stuff anymore. There will be an adjustment period. So just keep an eye out for this stuff. That's all you can really do in the end is be vigilant.
Does someone get popped? Does someone get popped for this year?
Hell yes.
I guarantee it. Well, at least one gets hit.
In the next, probably the next couple of weeks.
As soon as they say, because I think the MLB came out and said 7 to 10 days, we'll have a plan we're going to put in order. As soon as they say what that plan is, boom, somebody gets hit. I guarantee it. I don't know the degree of how many people get hit, but I think they're going to go hard after somebody fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there it is. We basically spitballed there and pontificated like all of you could do, but we hopefully gave you some ideas to think on that you can go deeper and dive into the world of the internet and find facts. Because believe it or not, there are facts on the internet. I don't know what you've heard recently. Don't give up on it. They're still out there. Trust me. All right, you listen to the Hey, it's Rico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast presented by RotoFanatic.com. Go to RotoFanatic.com, read Paul Mamino's GPS report. That's right, he picks one pitcher to rule them all each week. And he dives into the data. He looks at WOBA on pitch counts, how pitchers are doing, location, everything. And he tells you, hey, better days are happening or the party's over. Trust me, it's a great article, fantastic read. Last week he did Logan Webb of the Giants, and he'll do something else Thursday. I'm not going to tell you what it is, though. It's called the teaser. Tee-hee. All right, let's get into the Bozo section of the show. We'll do this one real quickly because you guys have both been on the show before, but I still wanted to have a quick moment of fun because it's always, you know, we've been dragging here. The show's kind of dragging, and everyone's not really having fun, and we don't seem to have that pizzazz we had when we started the show. So I'm trying to bring back the good times. Let's do it.
To be fair, I simply don't like you guys. That's really what it amounts to.
Well,
it's the most honest statement ever.
That's why I agreed to come on the show, because I despise both of you.
I hate these guys. And you're going to have Nathan on the show. Hell yeah, Van's on.
Well, I didn't expect you to say it on the air, but hey, fuck it. Here we go. Enrico's Inquisition. Would you prefer to deal with a manipulative person or a callous person?
Wow, this is deep into my psyche.
Alan Trammell or Lou Whitaker?
Oh, I knew you were going to hit me with that.
The 1988 Dodgers or the 2020 Dodgers?
Oh, the 1988, by far. It was the happiest moment of my sports life. That was my first gut moment.
Nelly, get ready for some doozies, because it's time for everybody's favorite part of the show, Enrico's Inquisition.
Well, back in January, Van came on the show. And then a couple months later, Nathan came on the show right before opening day. And it was great. We got to talk French black metal, Nathan. That was pretty cool. Remember that?
Yeah.
We talked some Alsace. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and some Gojira. And, of course, their album has dropped since then. So I've been bumping that a lot.
Yeah, I ended up checking that out. It was a lot of fun. So I was appreciative of that. I actually got people who don't care about baseball to listen. That was the only time I got a few of my friends who hate baseball to pop in because I said, yeah, we're talking about some good music. So that's always fun when we can make that happen on this show. And Van, you know, you started this, Van, and it's been a real pleasure. This Master and Commander thing really started with your appearance.
I'm so glad that has continued. I can't express that enough. Russell's awesome with all the gifts. It's amazing.
Yes, Russell Withers, shout out to him at Armchair Roto. Great guy. Good stuff, too. He actually knows what he's talking about with fantasy baseball. You should go to armchairroto.com. But apparently there's going to be a new Master and Commander, kind of a prequel. That we've gotten so much buzz. We've created so much buzz,
It's
Van.
true.
You've made this happen. It is true.
I'm going to start telling people that I am responsible for the new Master and Commander movies. Russell Crowe in it. Have you seen Russell Crowe recently? Because he looks like he ate Russell Crowe from many years ago. Matt, I made that same joke first time I was on, but it's still relevant.
Van's got to be cast in this new movie.
I think
I'll do a cameo.
Would you be would you just be like a deckhand, and
I don't
die
know
of
what
dysentery?
those movies are about. It's something about boats. That's all I know. I don't know anything about boats.
Old school.
I'm nowhere near water.
That's true.
When you get Van's
Well,
hair
anyway.
wet, Russell Crowe jumps out of his bun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is the official fantasy baseball podcast of Russell Crowe and Master Commander. We're really looking forward to the prequel, the kind of retelling of the early days of Captain Jack Aubrey, even though Russell Crowe won't be in it, but it's still a Master Commander movie. So 3 cheers, hip, hip, hooray for the HMS Surprise. All right. I got to ask you this. We talked Taco Bell when you were on, Nathan, and we got into some Taco Bell talk. So I want to get this on the record. Better Taco Bell menu item all time. I'll go to Nathan first, and we'll see what Van has to say. The grilled stuffed burrito, which came out like 15, maybe 12, 13 years ago. The grilled stuffed burrito or the nacho cheese chalupa.
Oh my God, you're really putting me on the spot here.
I
think so. My taste buds probably say the burrito. However, I actually named my cats after Taco Bell menu items, one of them being Chalupa Grande, so I have to go with the Chalupa in my heart.
That's understandable. What about you, Van?
We'll make it 2 for 2. This thing about chalupas is that shell. I think it's fried, whatever it is, the chalupa taco shell.
Crunchy.
It's so good. It's the best part. It's very crunchy, but it has good flavor to it. The burritos, there's nothing against the burrito, but that's just... I don't know, it's a little too plain. I want a little more extreme when I go to Taco Bell, and that's without an E, just with an XTREME.
What do you think, dear? Chalupa?
Neither of them, man. It's the cheesy bean and rice burrito all day for me.
Those are pretty good, yeah.
What? That's pretty good?
And they're cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're 40 now, so you can spend a little extra for that burrito. I promise you, it's worth it.
Gun to my head, it's probably the chalupa. That shell's phenomenal.
There you go.
But it's not those chicken things where the shell is made of chicken. Those are vile, monstrous, disgusting things. Who the hell came up with that? Stop it. You don't need to be doing that anymore, Taco Bell.
Wasn't that a merging of KFC and T-Bell, right?
I could see that. There are a couple of those around here. I don't know if that's prevalent across the country or what, but occasionally you'll find that. But then also there's KFC and A&W and all kinds of other weird stuff.
That's a good one right there. You get chicken and the chili cheese fries. There you go. Now we're talking. So that's living, folks. All right, we're talking with Van Lee and Nathan Dokken here on the Hey It's Rico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We are inside Enrico's Inquisition. We have a new question we've been asking recently, so I'm going to ask Van this first. Van, would you rather be arrested or stabbed?
Stabbed. I would have a really good scar and a really good story for it. And I have hurt myself a lot in my life, so I'm kind of used to the pain. So essentially, I think I could handle it. Now, I know stabbing is particularly bad. However, the stories that would come from it would be great. And I don't really want to spend a night in jail or whatever it may be. I've been, I don't know, stealing toys from the local toy store in this scenario that I would be arrested. I don't know what my crime would be, but no, I would be stabbed.
No one likes to talk about getting arrested, but you get stabbed, you're telling that story every day.
Yeah, the only good part about being arrested is you might have a good mugshot. Other than that, nah.
I didn't tell you what the crime would be. You're right. So you were wise to do that because there's a lot of crimes out there. And if
you're
I
like
make a
homicide, you want to kill someone or you want to get lightly stabbed?
Yes, that's true. Nate, what about you? I don't know if we asked this one to you. I feel like we just started asking it around the time we had you on. So if this is redundant, then you could tell me to, kiss my own ass.
I believe you don't have to kiss anything, but I believe I was asked this, and I said arrested. But that I also answered that without any context. So yeah, I don't know what I'm getting arrested for or where I'm getting stabbed. We haven't asked that question either. So there's a lot of context to take into consideration.
Moose nudity is a crime that you've committed. That you
I accosted a moose. Oh no!
Yes. And you were nude the whole time. That's the thing.
I couldn't handle that sort of shame. I'd have to get stabbed.
Okay, let's try this one. Nathan, Ghostbusters 2 or Terminator 2?
Oh, Terminator 2, hands down. The Terminator series, well, I was going to say the whole series. The whole series is not good.
Whoa.
Terminators 1 and 2 are among my favorite movies of all time. So I would say that Terminator 2 is arguably the best action movie ever made. It's probably either that or Die Hard for me. But I think that could probably be hotly debated amongst this group. But yeah, I love them both. But I mean, you can't, peak Arnold right there. You can't go wrong.
Have you ever seen the new version of Judge Dredd, just called Dredd? That's a great action movie.
No, is it good? It looked terrible, so I didn't. I stayed away.
I watched it last night, and I'm recommending it to you now. It was actually like just no bullshit, like a great rock solid action film. I'm going to recommend it.
I'll have to give it a look. The old one is like that's classic Sly right there. Just
yeah, but it's
super over the top. Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, and people were super pissed because Sly's got to show his face, and he took the helmet off. And according to Judge Dredd lore, you're not supposed to take the helmet off. And in this one, Carl Urban did it right, never took the helmet off. So there's good news there. For you, hardcore Judge Dredd fans, I know you're out there. How about you? Maybe this is a dumb question, Van. So yeah, Ghostbusters 2 versus Terminator 2, is it obvious?
I don't think it's a dumb question. I think it's interesting posing a comedy versus an action film. And I agree with Nate. Terminator 2 is one of the best action films ever. The score is amazing. The acting is good. The story is good. The special effects at the time were phenomenal, and they do still hold up fairly well today. So I would vote for Terminator 2. Ghostbusters 2 has a bit of negativity surrounding it. In particular, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, all the actors say it was more corporate. Too many people stepped in and said, you have to do this. It's still a pretty damn funny movie, and I enjoy it. It's just not as good as Ghostbusters 1. So
Vigo!
I think I will stick with, he's great. He also voiced Mr. X or something or other on Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. That same actor did a great job. Oh, and
Nice.
Dredd. To the point, I've not watched the new one with Carl Urban. However, I have heard it's genuinely good, whereas the old Dredd is just garbage. Except we get the "I'm above the law" line or whatever.
That was good. That was a pretty good Sly, actually.
That was
it
good.
over the top?
Oh, I thought that was Angel Hernandez.
Over the top. Yeah, we're going to do some arm wrestling here before long to win custody of our children.
Great
Come on.
movie. Great guilty pleasure movie.
Yeah.
Well, Nate said over the top first and started it and got it in my head. And I knew he was doing that intentionally, but now it's in my head.
They play that damn song throughout the whole movie. Meet me halfway across the sky. Every 15 minutes they play that song.
Well, hey, they got the rights. They got to use it.
That's true. You got to maximize your license while you have it. I'd rather watch Oscar personally, but no, that's just me. I'm different. So, okay. How about this then? I want to switch it up. Nate, Godfather 2 or Terminator 2? Does that change your mind?
Oh boy, here's where I go to jail. Haven't seen the Godfather movies. So.
Hey,
Good for
you.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we both said good for you. That's weird.
I think though, like I know the lore of them. I sat down and watched the first half of the first Godfather one time, and it was a good 7 hours, of my. But I believe they're both considered sequels that are better than the originals, right? Godfather 2 and Terminator 2. Yeah,
that is accurate.
So obviously I still go Terminator 2, which is it's probably in like my top 5 favorite movies ever. So
should ask the Boop Two Boys about that. But yeah, does that change your mind, Van? Or are you still sticking to what you said?
No, I actually will go with Godfather 2 on this one. Godfather 2 is generally one of the best movies ever made. Terminator 2 is one of the best action movies ever made. Now, that said, I could 100% be in the mood for an action movie and would prefer Terminator 2, but Godfather 2 checks more boxes to me. It's art. It is pure art, the way it was done, and it's so good.
Deary, remember the Godfather video game?
I used to play back in the Henry Street days, and you would sit there and hum the damn Godfather theme constantly. PlayStation 2.
I would do that all over. I'd do that around the house all night long. It was so dumb.
Deary, what are you doing? Playing the Godfather game.
Yeah, it was actually a good game. I enjoyed it. Underrated.
It was similar to like a Grand Theft Auto. You just played the storyline. It was good.
That's why the Scarface game came out that same time too. They're basically just like, oh wow, Grand Theft Auto's got a good idea. Let's just make the movies where we rampage and kill people depending on the period. So, good idea, video game people. Good idea. All right. I also like doing the Star Trek.
Or Jurassic Park.
All right, I'm done. I'll stop. I can't help myself. It's so stupid.
This mouth horn noise is phenomenal. It's obnoxious enough that, oh boy, you could really ruin someone's day with that thing, I think. I like it.
I got to ask you this. This kind of relates to the Boob Tube Boys in a sense. Will you watch a film on censored cable television, Van?
Sure. If it's on, I'll do it. That said, I don't have cable, so that's just not a thing.
Right.
It's
or did you in the
2021,
past?
streaming.
In the past, maybe. Did you do that?
The last time I had cable, as what we'll call or consider cable, I was maybe 15, 16. It's never been a thing I've done. So yes, back then. However, I just haven't sat and watched a movie that's been on in years. I'm talking decade plus. It's mostly I watch it on a streaming platform. I sit down to do it, or I download a movie or whatever it may be. So I'm not averse to it. It's just probably not something that'll happen logistically anymore, as boring as that is.
No unintentional viewings. Got it. Makes sense. Nate, what about you? And I'm talking about like rated R movies where you're going to miss out on some swearing and maybe some violence and some nudity, which is all part of rated R films.
That's the only reason I watch rated R films, is to see an odd boob or two. I mean, what I really miss, so pretty much no is the answer to that. I have access to so much, uncensored stuff that, like, why would I sit and watch the censored stuff? But what I really miss is the dubbed dialogue back in the day, like the old Die Hard movies. And I didn't know any better. So when Bruce Willis in Die Hard is going like, yippee-ki-yay, melon farmer, I'm like, what does that mean?
I'm really glad you brought that up. And actually, I'll give you my two favorites, because I was about to say something until you brought it up, Nate. My favorite made-for-TV censorship is from The Big Lebowski. And it's the scene, and I'm going to curse here, so fair warning. It's a scene where Walter's trashing the car because they think they found the kid that stole the dude's car. And he says, Larry, this is what it's like when you fuck a stranger in the ass. And he keeps screaming that, and he's bashing the car. In the censored version, he says, Larry, this is what it's like when you find a stranger in the Alps. It's so absurd. It's amazing. My second favorite comes from one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies, Snakes on a Plane, with Samuel L. Jackson. And the line is, that's it. I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. The censored line is, that's it. I have had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane. So good.
I'm dying at your John Goodman impression. That was way too good. What the hell is wrong with you?
I've seen that movie a lot. What can I say?
Whoopsie daisy.
Oh, that's good. That's definitely that. Lebowski one's a classic. It's so stupid. Why? Why is that movie being... I'm glad that Nate responded the way he did, because it really bothers me. I don't like watching censored films on channels like that when you got the movies. If you don't have the movie and you haven't seen it forever, I can mainly understand that. But come on, you got a whole pile. I have a friend of mine. He had a giant collection of movies all over the house, and just be watching censored shit on the TV. I'm like, why are we doing this? You want me to grab it? I'll get up and grab it. Even I'll put it in.
See,
there.
That's it. It's getting up. You cannot pay me enough money to get up when I've sat down. I'm done when I sit down. Right now, I will not move from this for 2 weeks. That's how it's going to be.
Or it's you get those Avengers movies on TNT and you have a commercial every 8 minutes, so it ends up being a 5-hour-long movie. It's like, what are you doing? You're going to spend this much time?
Oh.
Are you insane?
Kill me now. No way. No, thank you. That sounds like hell on earth. All right. We'll wrap this up here. We're talking in Enrico's Inquisition here. Having a little fun with the boys. She's in love with the boy. That's a country song, by the way. Nate, would you rather listen to country music? I'm talking pop country, like the Rascal Flatts or Florida Georgia line? Or would you rather have diarrhea over a hibachi?
Oh, give me the diarrhea in a heartbeat. I don't. With my close family members all watching, I don't care anything besides. And I am in North Dakota, so it's just omniscient. Like, it's just everywhere. It's ubiquitous is the word I was trying to think of. But yeah, it's I can't avoid it, and I hate it. It makes me physically angry.
Well, I'm in Missouri. Sorry, I'm in Missouri, and it is also ubiquitous here as well. And I will happily trek my way up north and shit next to Nate over that hibachi grill, because no thank you on the country music. And in fact, I know a lot of country songs because I worked in bowling alleys years ago where we'd play music and we'd have requests, and people would request some songs that I know the words to this day. I never listened outside of the bowling alley, and I'll hear it and I'll be like, oh, I know this song. And people their minds will be blown. Like, how the hell do you know this stupid song? And it's because of bowling alleys, which are also a nightmare.
About a 9 on the tension scale, Rube.
And lastly, bigger disappointment, Van, the 2021 Minnesota Twins or the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles?
Not a football guy.
Oh, well, it was a super team. They signed everybody. I think, who's the guy, the cornerback from the Raiders?
Asante Samuel.
No, Osamu Nwa.
Yadi Asamoah.
Nande Asamoah. Thank you very much. I'm an idiot. And it was a super team, so maybe this doesn't work. I don't know. It's
Well,
a bad
is
example.
that I can take an equivalent. So this would be like the Yankees in 98 or 99, 2000 when they would just buy all the players. That sort of team versus the 2021 Minnesota Twins, which aren't great. It's still the Twins for me because I'm a baseball guy, but I have no qualms if teams spend money in within the rules. I have no problem with that. I think a horrible narrative came, and Nate has probably heard me say this a lot, came from that Yankees time period because the Red Sox were heralded as the young up-and-comers. They were the underdogs.
Geraldo Rivera?
I do that every time. Again, Nate knows about this one. He's
I love
laughing.
it.
Yep.
That's a bad habit. Anyway, the Red Sox were like, oh my gosh, they're so good. They're the underdogs. They should be.
What is this accent?
They had the same damn money spent as the Yankees, and I hate it. And the Red Sox to this day still have people who think that they're the underdogs, and they're my most hated team because of that reason. They're not underdogs. The Red Sox are as bad, if not worse, than the Yankees. The Yankees at least just admit what they're doing. So I have no qualms with what the Eagles did, I think you said. I don't know about the team. Sure sounded like a bunch of gibberish names to me, but that's
Michael Vick, a lot of players.
I know that name.
Yeah,
he did the horrible things with the dogs. Yes.
Yeah, that was after that. People do try to forgive and forget. Nate, is this an easy call?
Otherwise, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I hate the Eagles with every fiber of my being anyway. So that makes me happy when they fail. But so yeah, obviously, what makes it so bad this year? All right, is just having the expectations being set so high. I just could not wait for them to extend their playoff losing streak to 19 consecutive games as they lose to the Yankees probably yet again. I was really looking forward to that misery in October, and we're not even going to get there because they're just total dog crap to begin with. So yeah, when you expect your team to suck and they suck, it's fine because you expected it. When you expect your team to be awesome and then they just shit the bed so hard, that's when it really hurts.
Is that a rivalry? The Philadelphia Eagles and the Cowboys?
Oh yeah,
correct. Yes.
Why? Philadelphia, Dallas. How is that a rivalry?
Same division forever.
Yeah, they're somehow in the same division. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, the Cowboys are in the NFC East, Van. It's stupid. So it's stupid.
Yeah, they're way on the East Coast. Read a book.
There's an
map,
NFC
idiot.
There's an NFC South. They should be in the NFC South, but then there might be who cares? At any rate, what I should have done, dearie, is maybe asked the Twins of a couple years ago that were after they came off that good season and then they shit the bed and Molitor got fired. Maybe that would have been a better comparison because this is not the first time it's happened in the last 5 years, Nate. It really surprises me. Like I'm genuinely obsessed with this failure. Like they were going for a World Series here. I really believe that. I know they had to win one playoff game, like you said, to end the curse, but this is just, I don't know how they recover from this. I guess it's possible, but boy, it looks daunting.
It's really inexplicable. Pretty much everyone has collapsed. I mean, there has been injuries. Losing Byron Buxton has been very detrimental. But really, the bullpen.
Yeah, it's all pitching. It's all pitching, right?
Yeah. Pretty much everybody pitching. And everybody they let go in free agency has been terrible on other teams too, except for like Trevor May is probably the only exception. But it's just like they have never played baseball before. It's weird, like just stupid errors and just everything going wrong that could possibly go wrong. So I maybe it's the coaching because I can't quite put my finger on why they're all. But I was a fan of Rocco Baldelli when he was hired. I still am. So I don't think that it's all his fault. I don't know. It's just baffling to me as well.
Nate, real quick, do you think that they trade Cruz in the next couple of weeks?
I hope so they can get something out of him, and he can go to a winning team because he deserves it. Yeah, he should be traded. I'm not sure exactly who else they have as impending free agents that they could actually get anything out of. It'd be nice to get rid of Sano, but I don't think anybody's taking him at this point. That's another thing. They've done everything they've for him. And having Nelson Cruz training Miguel Sano like at his house. As far as what I've heard, and back alleys and doing, swings in drug infested alleys and whatnot. I don't know, but nothing is working at this point. It's just time to flush that all down the toilet and move on.
Those alleys sound pretty cool. I got to be honest.
Yeah. Is there a karaoke bar nearby?
Drugs and karaoke. What a combo.
Holy shit. Brian K. Rajman just said what I literally said last night on the operating room with Kev Masarajian. Cruise to Tampa. It's the only fit if they're willing to take on the money. And maybe they split a money deal there. But
Ron would love it, Nate.
Hey, I've adopted the Rays. I've always been like a tangential because they actually are the underdog, operating in the NL East or L East with like no money. Yeah. Plus they have some of my favorite uniforms. Yeah. So I will be a bandwagon Rays fan.
Hell yes. I think most of us feel, at least everybody on this show, I think generally agrees. We all love the underdog, and the Rays shove it in those just what Van described about the Red Sox faking being underdogs, that they're billionaires. You're right. The Rays are truly the underdog, and they get the job done. So way to go, Rays! And by the way, this is the audio version of the 2021 Minnesota Twins.
Who the hell are you?
We came to wreck everything and ruin your life.
I thought you were going to play Godfried for a minute, and I was going to take my headphones off.
Yeah, I'm taking a different direction on that one. You got to mix it up. Got to keep it fresh. Brian K. Rajman, good call on that cruise to Tampa. I'd like to see that happen. All right, so let's get into some quick stuff. We'll get the hell out of here, and we'll move on with our lives. We'll pretend this never happened. The Hans Rico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, brought to you by RotoFanatic.com, Nathan Dokken, Van Lee, C. Deary 1999, MJ Govier on Twitter, at Nathan Dokken with 2 Ks, and at Manly Van Lee. That's Manly without an E. It's Manly. Very important. Very important to get that. All right.
I might be wrong. All those years of English lessons and teaching might have been wrong, but I think it's just LY. I don't know why I'm talking about this. It doesn't matter.
I did a podcast earlier today that's a new thing brewing. It's a secret right now. It's not mine. And I talked for an hour and 12 minutes straight with no bouncer off. There was no host or anything. I just talked for an hour and 12 minutes straight. So the voice is getting a little raspy here. So hang with me, folks. I appreciate your patience on the Hey, it's Rico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast. All right. America's fastest growing game show. Name that runner-up fab bid. Deary, you're going to lead us off. You're going to show these guys how the game's played. It's really simple, folks. Everybody can play along at home. Bring the family around the internet tube. Settle in. Let's all play along. Deary, take it away.
All right, I'm going to actually go to the Raz Slam League that just had fab bids come out last night.
Final cut line bids at NFBC were last night. That's correct.
Biggest bid on the board, Adolis Garcia, winning bid $901. What is the runner-up bid?
Okay. So
Mike, why don't you show him how it's done?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Let's get one right.
This is a $1,000 fab bid budget still, but it's
$901.
Cut line where there's only 2, right? There's 2 fabs?
There's just 2 fab periods, yes.
So
there's big bids out there.
So if the 901 was the winner, I think somebody was going to go for it, but they only had 887. I'm going 887. That's my guess on the runner-up fab bid. Nate, why do you want to take a stab at it?
I'm going with the Mark of the Beast, 666.
Ooh, very good.
Van?
I'm befuddled by this. Okay. Yeah, it's the 2-time fab bids. You only do it twice a year, 2 fab periods. So that's still happened recently. So they've seen the last few weeks of what Adolis Garcia has done, right? That's what I would guess. And then you said almost 100% of the budget. So it's clearly higher than I would have guessed because I wouldn't spend that much ever at any point, even when he was hitting. So I'm going to do the Price is Right thing and screw Nate over and say $667.
No!
Mike is over, but the closest. Mike guessed 887. The runner-up bid was 803 to 901 as the winner. So 803.
Not bad. Not bad. Good call, guys. You guys played the game well. All right, I'll take it next here. Let's go to my main event league, guys. I made a terrible decision and decided to pony up for a main event league this year for the first time ever. What a fool I am. A lot of lessons to be learned from that. God, I need a job. Let's take a look at the fab results here. I'm going to give you, remember this is weekly fab, of course. Main event runs every Sunday night. $1,000 budget for the season. Let's go with Jorge Soler was dropped last week. So he was bid. And the winning bid for Jorge Soler was $88. Deary, give me the runner-up fad bid for $88 on Jorge Soler, 15-team league.
This is your main event league, right? So people are certainly paying attention. It's not like Soler just went under the radar. Winning bid was 88, you said?
Mm-hmm.
$67.
67. Over to you, Van Lee.
I think people are going to look at that Jorge Soler .44 batting average, whatever atrocious number it is, and just nope out, particularly in a expert league like that. And I'm going to say $15.
Okay, Nathan.
I'm still surprised it's all this low, but I'm going to go with $54.
All right, actual retail price, $77 was the runner-up bid. Ding, 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 ding. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Very impressive. $77.
That was close.
So,
10 off.
Yeah, nice job. Jorge Soler, $88. I bid on him, but I wasn't going to bid that high. He's jacked up right now, and we've only seen one true season ever where he did what he did. So maybe that's the outlier. I don't know. It could be crazy. Would either of you gentlemen like to play around?
I understand how it works. So I just, as we were doing this, looked one up. So I have a player for you.
Yeah, all right. Let's do it, Van.
All right. So and this is just a random Fantrax league. It was the quickest thing I could pull up. 14-team league. Frankie Montas went for $89. Montas, formerly one of Nate's guys, who has just been awful this year. What do you think the runner-up bid was? 89 was the winning bid.
Deary, why don't you go? I'll go first, I guess. 89 was the winning bid. That's solid. That's fair. I respect that. I'm gonna say, based on his performance, 52.
How about you, Deary? What do you think?
We'll go with 44.
44. Nate.
35.
Let's see. You were all under. And Mr. Govier is our winner. It went for $75. So actually kind of close to the max bid. I don't think that's too surprising. Everyone needs pitching. And, I mean, he was pretty damn good a couple of years ago. He's just been awful since. So we'll see what happens.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Somebody... Montas is not the fresh maker. He's a disaster. Okay, that's good. Nate, did you want to play around, or are you good?
Sure, I can play one with special rules because this is a low bid. Because the winning bid was just $20. This is in the prestigious Dynasty Baseball League.
Oh, I won't look it up at all then.
Don't you do it. No cheating. So I was the runner-up. So it's a 15-team Dynasty League, 20-man Major League rosters, 20-man farm system as well. And Chris Gittens was called up, and he was not owned. So he went for $20. What was the next highest bid? It was me.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right. You said it was 15 was a winner?
20.
20, thank you. I'll say 12.
Deary? I will go next. 13. 12 was going to be my guess, but you stole it. So
I'm sorry.
I'll go with 7.
It was $1 by me.
Hey!
Almost, buddy.
I was right there.
I was going to say 0, but you said you had the runner-up bid, so I knew it was low.
This is, by the way, in this league a couple of years ago, it was towards the end of the season, I accidentally messed up a bid, and it's a $100 fab league, and I spent $21 on Austin Slater when he was nothing. He was nobody. He didn't do anything the rest of that year. I still think of that, and it irks me when it happened.
Good God. All right, final segment of the show, and we're going to get the hell out of here and move on with our lives. Rest of season. Would you rather? We all love playing Would You Rather. You played it drunk with your friends. Would you rather, sit on a bed of nails or, put a hot coal up your butt? Things like that. Crazy stuff. I party with some hardcore people. That's my experience.
I don't want to go to your parties now. This sounds horrible.
No, you don't.
Hot pokers and butts? Ooh. I mean, to each their own. I have no judgments about that. That's just not something that's on my radar.
Of course not. Of course not. Absolutely. I'm with you all the way. All right. So would you rather rest of season? It's real simple. One or the other. We give you two players. Everybody make a choice. You're stuck with them the rest of the year. So it's important that you hang on to that context. First one's big time players. Mookie Betts or Mike Trout. Now, I think this is a reasonable one because Mookie Betts has kind of not really been Mookie Betts, but he doesn't have the same excuse, in my opinion. I know he's had a couple of dingers, a couple of things that have slowed him down this year, but Mike Trout has the flat-out calf injury that has devastated his season. And unfortunately, when you mix that in with 2020 being a short season, being the bozo season that it was, I really feel like Mike Trout's Hall of Fame status is going to be lock, stock, and barrel. But the numbers he could have accrued are being a little bit minimized, unfortunately. So, Nate, let's go to you first. Mookie Betts or Mike Trout rest of season?
Yeah, this is, it's hard. I think I will just go with Trout because he was just rocking it while he was in there. It's still going to be a while before he's back, but man, it's hard to really love what Mookie's been doing so far. 6.1% barrel rate this year. Oof. He's just not hitting for average. It's not, a total burner. 5 steals right now is fine, but and that's, probably you're going to get more steals with Betts, I would say, than Trout the rest of the way. But I mean, yeah, I got to go with whatever Trout's going to give you over the second half.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Trout had a couple of steals. He was starting to run more, and then he got hurt. So that would probably limit his desire, possibly, or the team's desire to have him run. Deary, let's go over to you. Trout or Betts rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's going to be a bit for Trout to come back, but I'm still probably going to go with Trout here. Where's the power with Mookie Betts? He has 5 home runs. He hasn't hit one since May 18th. It's been a huge letdown for a lot of people. Average is not there as well. So I'm going to go with Mike Trout. Hopefully he comes back early July, a little bit after the All-Star break and, all cylinders firing and comes back and can really help a lot of teams out. So it's going to be Trout for me.
I don't think there's anything in Betts' profile right now that says that, he's toast. He's obviously this bad. Like, the exit velocity is down a little bit, but it was down last year and he still crushed the ball. I think everything looks pretty much the same with Mookie Betts, except for the counting stats. So I think that he's going to come back in a big way the second 2/3 of the season. So despite being the Angels fan here, I like Mookie Betts. He's going to steal more. Steals are a premium. That's not to say Trout won't steal. I think a big knock on Trout over the last few years, people have been like, well, Acuña's going to steal 40 bases. Okay, are we sure he's going to steal 40 bases? And then they would also say, well, Trout doesn't steal bases. Why? Why does Trout not steal bases? He's still insanely fast. I think he will steal. However, I think Betts being able to play for these few weeks and will course correct is the guy that I'm going to go with. So I will take the opposite and take Betts here.
Yeah, I drafted Trout with the expectation of steals definitely still happening. I didn't buy that narrative, but he got hurt, so I lose. All right, next one up. Kenta Maeda or Luis Castillo? Real simple. Deary, lead us off. Castillo or Maeda rest of season?
Oh, man, it can't get any worse for either of them. Maeda should be coming back next week from a groin. I mean, the encouraging thing over the last 4 starts, Castillo at least has made it to the 5th inning. He had an 11 strikeout game. Unfortunately, he has 1-3 during that time. I think it's going to be Castillo for me. I think we've seen more from him over the last 3 years. Obviously, Maeda was excellent last year, but what does Maeda have to pitch for? I mean, the Twins are going to be absolute trash. Reds are still going to be able to pound the ball in that yard. So I think it's going to be Castillo. He's going to continue to get a little better. It can't be any worse than it is right now. And I've said it for the last couple of weeks. I think he has a big June. There's still 3 weeks left in this month. So hopefully Castillo does start to turn it around. And it's Castillo for me.
Vanny.
I have never really been a huge Castillo supporter. I never quite bought the strikeouts to the degree that they became the last couple of years. 11.44 K per 9 in 2020, 10.67 in 2019. It was closer to a strikeout an inning. Before that, it's down to 8.18 now. He's a sinker ball guy. He's not quite the blow it past him kind of pitcher. I don't buy that he was the strikeout artist he was in previous years, and I'm just not that enamored with him. All of the pitching metrics say 4.5, 4.2 ERA, and he's better than that, but I don't see the upside that a lot of people see. And again, Nate is definitely understanding of this because he's heard me complain about Luis Castillo for years. That's not to say Maeda is this elite pitcher and he's a surefire bet to be amazing, but I do think he's more steady and I think he'll get back on track, whereas something just might be off with Castillo that I don't know gets corrected this year. So I'll go Maeda.
I suppose it's on me then. Castillo's velocity is still down, kicking back up a little bit, but I think that is at least a glimmer of hope for Castillo. I feel like his likely, his likely ceiling over the second half is probably higher than what I would expect from Maeda. So if I'm going to swing for the fences with one of these guys, I guess I would probably take my shot at Castillo, with the tiebreaker being that he's in the National League.
Oh, all right. I like that. Bottom line, Nate. That's what they used to call him in high school, bottom line Nate. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not.
Well, it was bottom line Nate is actually how you should say it.
Bantam? Were you a bantamweight once upon a time? I guess you probably were once upon a time. Cedric Mullins or Austin Meadows? Cedric Mullins. People keep waiting for the party to end with Cedric Mullins, but it just don't stop. It's a Cedric Mullins, and there ain't no party like a Cedric Mullins party, because the Cedric Mullins party don't stop. So tell me this, Van. Meadows, who's been on a roll too. Both these guys are hot. Who are you going with?
This is the first one that is truly, to me, roster dependent. And Nate had a good point on Castillo versus Maeda. If you need to swing for the fences and have an ace on your staff, probably Castillo to go with that. I don't necessarily know if that's how it's going to pan out, but that's the guy who probably can't have the high ceiling. In this case, it's strictly, do you need speed or do you need power? Because Mullins is going to run. Meadows, I just don't see running a whole lot, but he has more power. But I buy Mullins. I think what he's doing is pretty much legit. I think he's a 2020 threat. I compared him to Ramon Laureano a couple days ago on the show, and Laureano has some great value. I think Mullins will continue having that value. So I really like Mullins, and in a vacuum, that's my choice. But if I do need more power, Meadows is the guy who could hit 30 home runs this year.
Nathan.
Yeah, in a vacuum, go with Mullins, because I would say more teams are steal needy than power needy. So that would have me lean Mullins. But yeah, this definitely looks like a true breakout. 371 BABIP. You don't expect to hold over the course of the year. It's not like he's really been balling out so far and stealing bases, and he's not a zero in the power. He's not just a flat burner. So it's weird to say, but I'll take Mullins.
Wow. Deary.
Initially I was leaning towards Meadows. Both these guys have been amazing over the last month. They're both batting over 300. I mean, Mullins the last month is batting 340. I think the big difference here is, sure, Mullins is probably going to steal 25 bases, but he also is probably going to hit 20 home runs. So unless Meadows hits 35, I think maybe the tip goes to Meadows, but I think it's Mullins right now. I mean, Mullins probably going to end up close to 300 in a batting average. Meadows has been moving up in batting average, but he's not going to get close to what Mullins is doing right now. And I think if Mullins goes 25, I think it tips over to Mullins, and I'm going to take Cedric Mullins. I like both guys a lot, but it's amazing to say I'm going to take Mullins.
One thing I want to point out real quick that I forgot to say is I'm ready to say that Austin Meadows simply can't hit left-handers. I was kind of anti that. I said, okay, he should play. He should be able to attempt to try to hit lefties. He's just bad against them. He's hitting 177 against them now. So maybe he's not quite getting the playing time Mullins will, whereas Mullins is hitting 311 against lefties. So he's still hitting same-handed pitching better than Meadows pretty much ever has. So that's another factor too. Maybe we get 500 plate appearances out of Meadows and we get 650 out of Mullins.
He's a Meadows career 246 hitter against lefties, but it doesn't seem to be getting any improvements. That's a good call. Good call, Nate.
That was early on too.
You're not Nate. You're Van. Sorry about that. So.
Either way, yeah, no. Early on, and I think that first couple of years he came up was when he was hitting 280, 290 against lefties, and the last few has just been atrocious against lefties. I think, and they're not really playing him against them either. So I think they're kind of done with that.
All right, let's speed round these last three. We'll get the hell out of here. Stomont or Yimi Garcia? Stomont or Yimi Garcia? We'll go back to you, Nate.
Yeah, so I'm going Yimi here. Yeah, he was one of my favorite stashes in my draft and holds from this offseason. I got a lot of Yimi. I also had a lot of Anthony Bass. That didn't work, but at least I had a lot of Yimi to back it up after a really, really rough start to the season for all of those teams.
Yep, shout out to Chris Marr. Gave me a tip on Yimi in the preseason, and it really paid off, and I've been happily rostering him ever since. Deary.
Yeah, it's Yimi. I wish the strikeouts were up a little more. He's had one really big blow up, which kind of hurt his ERA. He still sits at 2.63. Stoudemont just walks too many guys. The control isn't there. He's already gone to the DL twice already, so it's going to be Yimi for me.
I'll make it a three-peat. I'm going to take Yimi. I'm not sure Stoudemont is the guy who has the job the rest of the year. Not necessarily because I don't think he can do it. He's perfectly capable of it, but they really like Greg Holland still for some reason. So I don't trust the Royals in that regard. The Marlins, I think, will let Garcia be the closer the rest of this year, probably half of next year, and then they trade him because the value is too high.
What did you have, a few drinks this morning? Huh? I think you did, didn't you?
No, we can't prove that, John, so no. All right, real quickly, Adbert Azalea, who's been fantastic. Unfortunately, just went on the IL with a blister issue, but blister's healed. He'll be fine, so it's nothing serious. Or Luis Garcia, the stellar breakout year for him with the Houston Astros. Luis Garcia of the Astros or Adbert Alzolay of the Chicago Cubs. We'll start with Deary.
I'll go with Garcia. I think he's going to get more innings down the stretch than I can't even say his name. I just might as well say AA. So I'm going to go with Luis Garcia and that great lettuce he has. I don't think he's cut it yet. So
well, AA has helped a lot of people, so that's fine. Van, let's go to you.
It's Garcia. The only concern I have with him is that the Astros are one of two teams in Major League Baseball who have too many pitchers. That's the only two teams, him and the Dodgers, essentially. They just sent Kristen Javier, the bullpen. That's amazing. Javier would be on the starting staff of any other team. So there's a little more risk there. They might shuffle him in and out. However, I think the talent's a little bit better right now.
Yeah, that's the same point I was going to make with Luis Garcia. That's the only thing you have to worry about is whether the Astros are actually going to manage his innings. But this is going to apropos to what we were talking about. So, to answer the question, easily Luis Garcia for me. I actually bumped him up 30 spots in my SP barometer this past week to 45. And that is one spot in front of Luis Castillo at 46. So an impromptu question to you guys. Who do you want the rest of the season, Luis Garcia or Luis Castillo?
Oh, wow, that's a good one.
I think I'm going to go with Castillo because of the innings. I will have innings concerns eventually for Garcia. That's my quick response.
Castillo's going to roll out there every day, so yeah.
Three-peat. Yep, it's Castillo for that very reason.
Oh, there you go. Well, that was great. All right, and finally, to close it out here, the final analysis. Pavin Smith or Ryan Mountcastle. Pavin Smith of the Diamondbacks or Ryan Mountcastle of the Orioles. And we're going to start with Van.
Okay, so Smith, when he kind of was called up earlier in the season, and we were discussing him on different shows, hey, should this be a guy you have on your roster? He had 5 home runs. Do you know how many home runs he has now?
5
home runs. That's it. He can't hit for power. He has no power. So I think if you need just a bland, empty batting average, Smith is great. He can even provide a little bit of OBP. However, if you need a shot in the arm and need some power or fantasy stats, go with Mountcastle. And that's not to say I like Mountcastle. I just don't necessarily like Smith.
Nathan, what do you think here?
Yeah, it's weird having Pavin Smith and David Peralta on the same. It's like they're the same fantasy person. Anyway, so yeah, I'll just echo Van's sentiments there. It kind of depends on what you need. At the average, you can go with Smith, but if you want the category juice, you got to go with Mountcastle. All
right, Deary, do you like the juice?
You got a guy who rarely strikes out in Pavin Smith, and then a guy who rarely walks in Mountcastle. Mountcastle's 3.3% walk rate. Mountcastle has finally come around here in the last month. He hit an amazing last couple of weeks. He was the AL Player of the Week last week. I held on to him on a lot of leagues. I think that average is going to start to bump up, and he certainly has the power to hit 30 home runs. So it's going to be Mountcastle for me.
I knew it, and I actually just picked up Mountcastle in my TGFBI league. Somebody let him go. I paid $187. That's right, I did. I paid $187 for Ryan Mountcastle, and I'm very happy with it. Very, very happy. All right, we did it. We've done it. The show's over. Thank the sweet Lord. Good God. Oh, what a endurance trial that was. But we made it through. I want to thank the guys. We always do. Van and Nathan. We brought them back together. A nice little... little tribute to two guys that inspired me to start podcasting. So I figured, why not return the favor, have them back on, and we all talk about baseball together. That's a pretty cool thing. That's why fantasy baseball can be fun. It actually can be fun. So as we close out the show, we say farewell Van, say whatever the hell you want.
Thank you for having me on. I'm sure I speak for both Nate and I when I say it was a pleasure, and we appreciate it, and we'll happily come back anytime. We'll find out if he echoes this sentiments. Check me out on Twitter at @ManlyVanLee. Listen to all my thousands of podcasts, in particular the Boob Tube Boys, which is a ton of fun. And just to give you a couple examples of shows we've also done on there, we did Alf. That was a series that I hosted. Yeah. Ooh,
hey,
Alf
Willie, where's the cat?
Yeah. Hey, where's the casserole dish? I'd like to eat the cat. And we also did Walker, Texas Ranger, where I played a lot of Walker clips, which is, oh boy, there's a whole lot going on there. Columbo, which has been the one show. I don't know if any of you watched Columbo.
Of course.
It's awesome. Columbo is amazing.
Absolutely.
I did not know this. I thought it was just another dumb procedural, but no, it's awesome. So I've fallen in love with Columbo. And then, you know what? A spoiler. This is not revealed. We're in the middle of Hercules and Xena week. Xena's coming out tomorrow. Next week, we haven't revealed what the show we're doing is yet. We'll reveal it on the Xena show coming out tomorrow. I'm going to reveal it to your audience. We are doing 21 Jump Street. Any of you seen that?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I thought 21 Jump Street was like a comedy. It's not a comedy. It is like a police procedural, and there's some heavy shit on that show. And it's the 2 episodes we watched really surprised me, but it was a lot of fun. So 21 Jump Street coming up next week.
Nice. Yeah, they made the movies comedies, but the show with Johnny Depp in the 80s certainly was not.
And that's probably what confused me, because that's exactly what I thought. And then the first episode we watch is about there's these military guys who are on some military base, and they keep leaving at night to go beat up gay people because they're homophobes. And it's dark, but we obviously talk about the message of the show and how important the message was, as well as, make fun of some of the stupid stuff that's on there.
Yeah, it's from the 80s after all. Richard Grieco's on the show too, so I mean, yeah, there's a lot of fun to have with Richard Grieco, but I prefer Peter DeLuise. That's the guy I like to make fun of the most. But that's just me.
Penhall? Oh boy, that big meaty guy with his mullet. Wow, what a character.
Oh, dude, 2 things I thought of when you mentioned all those TV shows. Xena Warrior Princess, Deary, it reminds me when she had the nip slip at the Red Wings. She did the national anthem for the Red Wings Ducks in the playoffs in the 90s.
I got a good story about Lucy Lawless. So a couple of years ago, I had a kid working for me. He's working summer camp. He was a group counselor. End of the year, he asked a couple other counselors out to dinner. And they go to the Chop House. He walks in with his mom and his dad. His mom's Lucy Lawless.
That is so cool. Wow.
These kids were blown away because they knew who she was. And they were like, holy shit. Okay, now it makes sense where we're at the Chop House in Ann Arbor.
Oh shit! Wow, that's pretty cool.
Lucy Lawless's kid worked for me for 11 weeks. I had no idea till the last day.
And the other thing I thought of was the Walker, Texas Ranger. Have you seen the episode where the kid has AIDS?
I played it as a clip on in a 21 Jump Street episode to ease the tension because it got a little too tense. But yeah, no, it's CD, the weird bartender, the old guy who looks like Wilford Brimley's like, pardon my French, but I'll be damned. And they're all like, ha, 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 ha. Walker told me I have AIDS. And that's like, I'll pull up a clip. No, you guys feel free to do whatever. I actually have it handy.
Of course you do.
Of course, yes, of course he does. Nathan, closing it out here, buddy. Say farewell in your own words, of course.
Farewell in my own words. Yeah, thanks for having me. It means a lot. Feels good being back on the air with Van, with you, and Deary. This is the first you missed the last time I was on, so it's the first pod I've done with you. It was an honor and a pleasure. And so everybody can check out my work at Fantrax HQ if you want some horrible starting pitcher rankings. Go look it up.
That's the best place for it.
Okay, here you go.
Pardon my French, but I'll be damned.
Walker told me I have AIDS.
That's Haley Joel Osment, by the way.
It is, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I don't get that. Okay, whatever. I've seen the clip of it too. It just doesn't make any sense.
Walker determines that. He chooses.
Dr. Walker.
It's a bad power to have, but sometimes people have to do the things you have to do.
Maybe I'll pick a Delta Force movie in the next month or so on the 7-9 podcast.
Those are so bad.
Or Delta Farce with Larry the Cable Guy.
I'm okay. Thank you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I didn't get a proper response there. All right, so what's next? Tomorrow I'll be on the RotoWire podcast with Scott Genstad. That's cool. I've never been on that show. That's fun for me. Thank you, Scott. I'm sitting in for the legendary Jeff Erickson, who's on vacation right now, living the good life. So good for him. And then, I don't know, something else will happen this week. Deary, see Deary 1999. Deary, what are we doing? Anything else?
Yeah, we'll do a show Friday night.
Oh, okay, cool. Whatever. We were going to have Tony on from Open Bar, but he's on vacation, and he was just getting back from vacation, and it was too close to call. So don't worry about that. I want to put a shout-out, though, to Brian and Ron. These guys are great. I do remember you. We had some great times on the Dynasty Pod and talking Nasty Cast and all that. So good times, fellas. I want you guys to know that. I'm thinking of you. Thank you for your time on your show. And every time I've been given an opportunity to talk with somebody else, it does make a difference in my life, and I do appreciate it. At MJ Govier, G-O-V as in Victor, IER on Twitter. At CDRE1999. At Manly Van Lee. At Nathan Dokken with 2 Ks. The Palazzo Podcast, 2 Ls, 2 Zs. Palazzo Podcast at protonmail.com, rotofanatic.com. We got all the good shit for your fantasy baseball team that'll change your life. Until next time, Van Lee, Nathan Dokken, Christopher Deary, Michael Govier. Enjoy your life.